All right, well, good evening, everybody. Welcome. I'd like to call to order the April 9, 2025 EAC monthly meeting. We had the February revised minutes. And did everybody see those minutes? And are there any objections or revisions or edits to those minutes?
No.
And I think those minutes are officially, we did based on contingent upon some of the changes. Bernie, you okay with those?
Yeah, so they should actually already be approved then, since the
They were
changes were
approved.
made, yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay.
And then the March minutes, we'd like to approve those. Any edits, objections, changes to those? Okay, can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I so move.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Good. At this point, we welcome anybody from the public that has anything to say. Would you like to?
Yeah, hi. Stand up or?
Sure, whatever you want to do. Be comfortable.
You can dance, whatever.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'll try to keep it brief. I was, okay.
Sure. Well, what is your name, sir?
Okay, my name's Tim Triplett and I live at 9009 Knoll Street. It happens to be adjacent to the Rachel Carson development that's going on.
Yeah.
And I was assured by the project manager and the architect that they could not put a building or parking lot near my property because it was wetland. They assured me, it was a year ago at the zoning commission meeting, that they couldn't do so, but apparently there's planning right now, there's plans to put a parking lot. So my question to what I'm here for your committee is, are you aware that they're planning on putting a parking lot and replacing what used to be beautiful forest and with a parking lot over a wetland? When they assured me they weren't gonna do so because, like I said, I'm sure there's regulations of putting environmental impacts of putting a parking lot over where there was once woods and that being said, it was who performed any like water studies before it was approved. The other concern I had was there was along Cumberland Road there's a culvert that was put there, I suppose 15 years ago when they put the road in, and it was partially removed from probably my property line to the entrance of Cumberland Crossing. And they removed the culvert. And after these few rains we've had, the water has been coming right off the street and right into the parking lot. So my concerns are, what are the environmental impacts? Is there gonna be landslide? Or, I mean, I know they have plans on putting a retaining wall in, but there are natural springs under the ground there.
Now, Tim, that's Cumberland Road up by past Passavant on the right-hand side.
Correct,
right where
yeah,
the road-
correct. On the perimeter of their property, they put the parking lot as far away from their residence as possible, which didn't make sense to me. And I brought it up at the planning commission and they told me that's where they wanted it. I said, well, yeah, but then, are they within regulation with the DEP or what to put they assured me they couldn't do a building or parking lot. Because it's wetland and I'm aware of that. There's natural springs that come off the hill there. And I have, I have photographs of it from just the other day. So, and then they removed the culvert. Well, there's more water there and there's standing water there. And so what happens if they pave it or like who did the water study? I would think it's that your committee that does that, or is it?
That would have been our town engineers.
Yeah, the town engineers would have to approve of it.
Yes.
Yeah. So, those are my concerns because I specifically asked them if they could respect my privacy and leave me a buffer and they pretty much did neither. And, the parking lot is completely clear cut up into my property line. And I have a meeting with the town manager to review the plans. And, I figured what I was told is they went against their word with telling me a year ago, oh, we can't build up there, it's wetland. And then sure, right, there is a parking lot there right now and it's not permanent. But doesn't hurt to ask if somebody can maybe move it where they said it was gonna go, or is it safe there? I mean, there's water issues there, so
Mhm.
that's basically where I'm coming from, so.
Okay,
I think if anybody could, just, I don't know if you have to review it or, just to see if everything's coherent with I'm sure the DEP has some regulations that are they adhering to. And, of course, I'm not happy about the fact that it used to be a beautiful forest and green space. And
Right.
It's clear it's gone, it's
Yeah.
gone, but that's a whole nother issue. It's that's a privacy issue with me,
Yeah.
in the township, but I'm just curious if you're aware that they're planning on putting a parking lot over wetland, because I'm sure there are regulations in place.
Yeah. So the EAC is not a part of that. We don't approve of that. It's not what this body does. We work on separate products. It's not as if we don't care or as if we shouldn't have an opinion or we shouldn't at least ask the questions.
Correct.
So at least we can do that. We can ask the questions, we can find out a little bit further and, find out if there's anything that would be, I don't have any other answers for it, but
Yeah.
we can at least ask questions and express the fact that you were here and, publicly asking us to do so.
Yeah, that'd be, I'm concerned that like Cumberland Road is safe, because if that
Yeah.
caves in or whatnot,
Mhm.
that's right connection to the hospital and the ambulances. But I was surprised that they moved the culvert, because the water stops at my apartment and it bleeds right into their parking lot, and I mean, you could drive by there right now, there's still standing water after 3 days ago. It's like up and down there. I'm not trying to stop any project or anything, but I just wanted to make sure before it goes any further that it's within what they're supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I was, they didn't keep their word of, I asked them not to clear cut all the way up to my property,
Mhm.
and they did so, but, so they plan on putting new trees in and whatnot, and replacing the beautiful green space that once was there, so.
Yeah,
And I've been living there for 23 years, and one day it was just clear cut and gone, and.
yeah. So we would have an opinion about that, about the replacement of trees.
Yeah,
And-
I mean, I'm meeting with the manager, he's gonna show me the plans, but it's just.
Yeah.
As long as they follow through and it's just coherent with the regulations are, I mean, I'm not here to fight anything, but I do have
Mhm.
questions,
Yeah.
concerns.
And who's the council member for that area?
For Cumberland,
Yeah.
what's the address
Do you
there?
know who you're?
Well, I'm on Knoll Street, but with the hospital is, you mean, it's across the street from the hospital, so whatever passing it.
Let me look that up.
Sister to Divine Cross.
That's that red dot.
1 second. Is 9009
Correct,
Knoll?
yeah.
I looked it up right now.
And if you look right, behind my house, that was at one time just, this was a farmland and it was green. I have photographs of the green space that used to exist, and
That's
they plan on putting a parking lot there, and
Ward 6,
Okay.
which I believe is Dawn.
Don't, yeah,
Dawn Hart.
okay. Okay, Tim, we can ask some questions. Can make sure that it's not, contradictory to what we're trying to accomplish.
exactly.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah, it doesn't
So we
hurt,
can do
doesn't
it.
hurt to ask questions.
right.
Like I went to the planning commission, I said, I know the earth movers are still there, maybe they can put it where they claim they were going to put it.
Have you been in touch with your member of council?
Yes, I have an appointment with
Okay.
them next week. so
Okay, good.
To go over, review the plans and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, and like I said, I'm easy to please and I'm willing to get along with
Mhm.
it, but when you go against your word, I'm concerned that maybe the planning process is kind of like usually at the end of the project, so.
Mhm.
I'm concerned that it's gonna get done and or if it's safe,
Yeah, we appreciate you sharing this with us. I mean, we can make no promises, obviously,
Yeah,
but
no,
we
yeah,
can-
exactly.
but at least you're touching on the right places, so.
Yeah, I just want you to be aware that, hey, they're planning to put a parking lot there. They would inform me that it wouldn't be there and it's not final yet, but
It's wetlands, it's difficult to
site
get
prep.
approval.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's wetlands, it's really hard to be able to do anything to it.
Mhm. Well,
that was, you know, they assured me, and I said, I'm aware that there's water coming off the hill and there's natural springs. And you can see where they're coming out right now, right through the ground, so. But, you know, I have pictures, but it's not necessary. I appreciate what you take your input and
mhm.
me being, just to make sure you're aware that there could be environmental impacts.
Yep,
That's what you're here for, right?
yeah, absolutely, and we promise you we'll follow up.
Yeah,
Can make no other promises, but we'll follow up and we'll ask the questions.
I really appreciate it. And like I said, I have a meeting with the town manager, so.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, John.
John Schwinn, yeah,
Right.
good man.
Yes, exactly. So everything's been cooperative, like this. I just wish it didn't have to come to this.
Yeah.
Because if they would have just left me a buffer, like I asked them, respected my privacy, I would have never pursued anything.
Yeah,
But they clearly did not do so.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Okay, well, thank you. so
thanks,
much.
Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate
Thank you.
everyone.
Appreciate the way you shared it for us. Okay. Okay. Nick, you and I'll get together and.
Yeah.
If that is wetlands, it's very difficult for them to get permission to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, next on to the student report, James. James had sent an email. We all saw that he couldn't make it. Matt, do you want to share some of the things that James shared with us?
Sure, if anybody missed it, just in case, he was letting us know he was unable to attend this evening. He mentioned the Interact Club's projects that they were working on. I think a lot of these were mentioned last month. The Fairchild Challenge on Biophilia, encouraging participants to track outdoor engagement and reflect on the effects of nature on mental well-being. The Sustainable Bingo Card and Catch Basin Labeling Campaign in collaboration with the EAC to educate and engage youth in environmental protection efforts, and the Earth Hour participation and early act environmental outreach with letters and crafts for younger students. And he said that there are students, volunteers who are getting ready for the roadside cleanup, which I'm sure we're going to talk a ton about today. Finally, he talked about his sustainability project with Yuki, saying that they were still collaborating on the birdhouse painting and placement initiative. They're looking at contrasts between developed areas like McCandless Crossing and preserved green areas like North Park for placing birdhouse in both. Planning on including an educational signage explaining the importance of sustainable development and green space retention. They said they've reached out to some township officials for approvals and support, including possible funding or venue coordination, and discussed the project with the Interact Club members who are interested in helping during cleanup day. They're still working to finalize the details, especially regarding logistics, materials, and any necessary permits. So they mentioned they reached out to township officials. I don't know if they've gotten any response. I don't know which township officials they've reached out to. Nick, do you know if anything has been said, like at a council
haven't
meeting
heard
or anything like that?
Word of this.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. You know, there was not a lot of information on the progress on any of these things. Just the fact that they are happening. So good to know that that's the case. I am assuming that he will be there on Saturday. And if we figure out what exactly, I know Jeff, you reached out to me about some things that are going to be going on that day for him and for myself. So once we get those finalized at the end of the meeting today, I will reach out to him and let him know what's happening with that.
Very good. Any other questions for Matt? I mean, I think we all saw that, but great. Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
Okay, on the project updates, sustainability, I'll take the first one. So I can't remember if we talked about me being in front of council. I reached back out to John Schwinn and asked what his opinion was about how to move forward. And he agreed with me that working with Penn State and their summer program with their undergrad students, although it would be delivered a greenhouse. Community-wide greenhouse gas inventory would be delivered at the earliest fall, the latest spring, at no cost to us. And we both agreed that that was the best way to proceed as opposed to joining ICLEI. And ICLEI would have charged us for the membership $1,800, $7,000 for the work, and then $2,000 for the product. Would have been about $11,000. So we're moving forward. Penn State. I reached back out to Penn State, asked to be involved in a program. They have officially accepted us into the program, so that will begin. And from that standpoint, I think that it would be, there'll be some calls during the summer, but they'll compile the data, they'll pull the data, they'll work with us on that, and then we'll hopefully have a product, and we'll update the group as we go forward. But I think at this point, we're just waiting for that to begin as a summer project. Right?
Greatness.
Thank you. Any questions about sustainability? Okay. Next is deer management. Ken, you want to wrap that up for us?
There's really nothing, as far as the program this last year. Archery season was done the end of January. Just my normal comments that we're harvesting 3 times as many deer with cars as we are with archery. And that's not including McKnight Road or 19. It's not including the deer that got hit and ran off into the woods and didn't get picked up. That's just going by pickups. From my view of things, there's no regeneration in our woods at all. All the young trees are munched up, and because each deer is going to eat 8 to 10 pounds of browse a day. All of our native plants are gone. So we have a severe overpopulation of deer, and when I watch the dozen or so that bed down in my backyard every day, they're not looking too good. Meaning if we would get another real good cold spell, I think some of them would not survive it. So we need to up our game with the deer management, simply for the sake of the deer, that they can be healthy, and for the sake of the environment, that we can start to get some restoration of our native trees and plants in our woodlots.
So last year, I remember that we ended up with 61 by
60 this year.
Oh, it is 60 this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because of a program that we had council approval for and everything, and it kind of fell off the radar. That we didn't have whitetail hunters hunting in Wall Park, Potter Park, and Vestal Park. That was open to public hunting. One of my buddies shot a nice 8-point in Wall Park. But so we didn't have the whitetail hunters in the 3 parks this year.
Okay.
They needed to be open to public hunting.
And there is a desire by myself and some of my fellow members of council to really try to tackle this issue head on and take a more vigorous approach towards trying to improve this. But we would love to have your guys's buy-in, and we would like to have more public input too before we would ever move things along. So
we have so many, we could take a couple hundred deer out of McCandless and you really wouldn't know that. You'd still be seeing deer all the time. And that wouldn't even put a dent as far as with a forest, once it's been overbrowsed. You have to knock, if an area can hold 100 deer and it's had a couple hundred deer for a period of time, and the ecological devastation that occurs, you have to knock that deer population down to 50, well under its normal carrying capacity, for 5 to 7 years for the seedlings to get established and for the weeds and things to get growing again before you can let the population come back up to 100. So it's a matter of it's a pretty radical thing to do to knock the population down that far. And it's not going to be done with archery hunting.
Do we know of any places where they've had success with this? Have we heard anything even anecdotally?
Fox Chapel has been doing.
They've been doing it since 1993, I think.
Working?
Yeah, it has.
We start to look at what they're doing and try to
Yeah.
follow their lead at least or something? I don't know. Like, I feel like we talk about this a lot, but we need to like figure out a plan on this and get it moving, right? If it's going to be in place for next year.
Well,
I agree.
You make a good point. You know, and you just said if you had our buy-in. So,
Right.
I mean, I think, you know, and I'm just trying to figure this out. I don't know anything about, you know, protocol here or anything like that, but maybe 4 of us like it and 3 of us don't like it. So we want to make sure that everybody gets represented, and we want to make sure that, you know, it is fair, and we agree as a committee that this is something we want to back, and how do we back it?
Yeah.
If we do want to back it, do we say the EAC recommends, and there might be others that don't recommend it? I mean, I don't know. I don't know, and I'm not asking anybody to give their opinion about that, but I think we have to think about how we do that and how we represent every committee member's.
Couple
Opinion.
of points.
Yeah,
One city of Pittsburgh has also been doing that this past year, doing a call means you're harvesting deer outside of deer season and not necessarily using sporting methods to do it. Because of the deer population is so bad in the city. Fox Chapel's been doing it for a long time.
Lebo.
We've worked through what we wanted to do. It's just that the ball got dropped at the last minute. The original plan is that we were going to harvest an additional 150 deer this year to see how things went. And then if everything went well, we were going to look at the results and see where we could go from there. 150 deer out of McCandless Township really is almost insignificant.
Was it gonna be targeted in like one area to see if,
There were 9 sites that we
Okay.
were going to be doing it at.
I'm
Right.
trying to get attention and ask for the floor. I mean, can we put together a proposal? Jeff just said he wants to know, do we stand with it or not? I mean, I feel like Matt does. We've talked about it a lot. Is there a plan that we could get behind and say, yes, we support this? And what would it look like? You know, what's the comprehensive plan? Because Ken, you've convinced me not to proceed with the tree program till we get this under control. I want to get that launched, but you've convinced me we've got to manage the deer issue. So I say full speed ahead. What do we need to do? What's the plan, to Matt's point? And let's get on with it. And I don't know that it's EAC's responsibility to do it. I'm sure it's the township, but
Right.
I think that question of how do we get this rolling aggressively so it can support some of the other programs we want to do.
Everything was done with the game commission. The reason the parks had public hunting this year was to satisfy a requirement of the game commission. Everything was done. The ball got dropped at the very end. Everything was planned, we had everything together to accomplish this, but the ball got dropped at the end.
But it sounds like we need more than that anyway, right?
Mhm.
Continuing to do the whitetail archery hunting and in adding those 3 parks will be helpful, but it sounds like we need something more than that, right?
That's what I'm speaking to, is we had a plan to take out an additional 150 deer.
Right. I'm saying we need to go even bigger than that. It sounds like,
needed to
but
see-
I don't know. I mean, you know more about this than I do. So if you think that that's where we start and then we expand, cool. But it sounds to me like it needs to be even more than that, based on, you know, you're saying take that out, we're barely going to see a difference.
Right.
So is that worth taking the time to do that, or should we move forward with something more aggressive?
We wanted to start the first year with 150. There's costs involved with it, so it also has to be a budget item, line item, which was approved, and everything was done except the ball got dropped at the very end. We wanted to do 150 the first year, just to get our feet wet and get the procedures done, because you have to then remove those 150 deer and get them to deer processing so that they go into the food banks and all of that. It's a fairly big thing. So we wanted to start with 150 and see how things went, see how the public reacts. And and then go from there.
So do all of those approvals and things like that need to happen again for this next year, or because that all happened, is the table set and we just need to make sure that that it gets carried out this year?
The paperwork needs to be submitted and everything should be, this year should be much easier since all the homework and what we needed to do and everything is we understand that now. And it's just a matter of getting things through and, finalized. Would you agree?
Yes. Correct.
Question then about, since the public parks then were open for the public to hunt, do we have any idea on what those numbers were? Because if they're not part of the suburban white-tailed hunters, like, do we know that we even have an accurate number if we have additional?
To hunt the 3 parks, you needed to register with the police department downstairs.
Okay.
So they did so everybody that did that, the police have done a background check on, and any deer that you harvest had to be reported back to the police.
Okay, so was that included in your reports
That was
then?
included in-
Okay. And is that the same with the game commission too? Like, do they do hunts out there and report the same to the police, or do they have their own counts?
Game commission, when a hunter harvests a deer, they have to report it.
Okay.
But it's the detail level that they can get to McCandless, but you don't know if that was whitetail hunters in North Park. You don't know if that was somebody in their backyard in McCandless Township. You just know it was harvested in McCandless.
And how successful was having private hunting? Like, did we have less people out because of that, or was it about the same?
The problem you get with the average hunter going out is they're trophy hunting. Like this over here, there's at least 7 guys that hunt in there, and they're all trophy hunting. After Christmas, they might shoot a mature doe. So the whitetail hunters and suburban whitetail hunters, they're in there to harvest deer. So if they shoot a buck, that's great, but they're really harvesting mature does, which is how you control your population. The deer population will double every 2 to 3 years if you don't harvest sufficient numbers.
Okay, so it sounds to me that we can't force it to be bigger. I don't know that we can force the program to be anything else. Like Matt said, why don't we go bigger? Well, it's not our call to go bigger. I think it's our call to support it and to keep the momentum going. So
And public education on the problem that the number of
Right.
deer.
I think that will be big.
okay, so there's where we can make a difference.
I think truly everyone in the town, everyone in Western PA understands that we have a problem.
Yeah,
Here,
yeah.
it's just how do we manage it and how do we fully explain to the public what those problems are and why it impacts everyone's lives and why it needs to be.
Okay,
remedy.
so I don't
I
know
think
if it makes a
that's the question.
difference, but it would be nice to say, and everybody should probably reach out to me through email separately and tell me, if they support it or not support it, because I don't want to, show of hands here. But then we could say we're either unanimously supportive of this program, the EAC is unanimously supportive of this program, and wish to see it grow even larger in the coming years, and we will support it through education, initiatives, we'll have a speaker, something like that, or we say we're largely in favor, so we don't speak, if there's somebody who's opposed to it, that we don't speak for them and say they're for it when they're not for it. I'm just thinking maybe that's the first step. And so we say that.
The first step a lot of you can take is, if you can find on our township website, during COVID, Janine, the whitetail biologist for the Game Commission, and I did a presentation. We had 200 spots available and all 200 of them were taken. So it was a pretty well-received program, but it's, I would encourage you to start by viewing that.
The program that launched this year, is it based on like the hunting season, so we have to wait the full.
We have to wait until after hunting season.
Okay, so we got a year until we could do like put in place action to change that. From the public sentiment perspective, right, I think that's something we should start talking about in advance of that program actually happening, right?
It might be our second speaker series. Might be
Yeah.
our second
Yeah.
speaker. Yes, Bernie.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's a great idea to do this as a speaker series for the, the fall or, late summer.
Is that when it would be, Ken? Is that when we have it? Is that too soon or too late?
It won't, the special program won't start until after all the hunting seasons are done, so it's not until the end of January.
Yeah, but that's okay. For 2025 speaker series, we could educate the public on the issue and how they can participate, what they could do. And Jeff, I want to object to this need to do kind of a secret email to you on how we feel. Why couldn't we discuss this openly if somebody on this on our committee disagrees with this philosophically? I mean, shouldn't we hear that out right now?
That I'm for that too. Just want to make sure everybody's comfortable. That's all.
Yeah, why wouldn't we
Anybody have a
discuss
problem with
anything
it?
openly?
I think it's great to start it on a smaller scale, like you were proposing before diving into anything too crazy, just sort of test the waters.
I
But
think-
it's extremely important for the entire area.
And I think especially when you're talking about like the health of the deer that we do have, we're not looking to wipe out the entire deer population. I mean, that's what happened, what was it, early 1900s or so, when it was like, there were no deer in Pennsylvania and they brought them back. We're not looking at doing something like that. We're looking at doing something where it's like for the health of the forest, for the health of the deer. and,
Balance.
Especially given like,
Sustainability.
sustainability. Also, just for, if we can even phrase it as, we don't want to keep hitting them with our cars. Cars are expensive.
There's so many talking points.
There's so
right?
many
Like,
reasons. It's
Front garden.
cars, it's ticks, it's
This is like the
gardening,
most
health
slam
of-
dunk story
the
from a
forest.
PR perspective. Like,
And-
I understand opposing it on the grounds of animals and all, like, I
Right.
understand that, but in terms of
We email everybody out.
the logic driving it,
Sure.
you're not gonna have a more complete story to go to the public with.
Mm-hmm.
There's 10 different angles here that somebody's impacted by. if
Right.
not more than one.
I think
Right.
everyone here has had someone they know that has hit
Yeah.
a deer
Oh,
with their
yeah.
car, or they themselves have hit a deer.
I mean, from the animal perspective too, it's actually it's more cruel to the animals to not do this, right?
Yep.
You're leading to more suffering, you're leading to more pain for those animals. So if you really believe and you're caring about what the animals, then you got it. This is the way to go for that too. I think one of the things that we need to figure out though is, as far as public education is concerned, I love the speaker series idea. I think we need more than that, and I think we need to figure out good ways to get our messages to the public, because we still don't really have that yet. We're getting
Into one place.
a very, very small amount of people are reading what we're writing.
We put this in McMail. Could we?
Social media posts and then
Social
putting that out
media.
there is a good way. I think that's.
Natalie to write like a big article about it?
Potentially, yes. I would want, because it is such a big topic, I would want a lot of involvement from council and
Sure.
before
Yeah.
Sure.
moving forward.
Sure,
I
sure,
think
sure.
they would always be looking over it too. But
Yeah, because they're.
yeah, a bigger like public education,
Yeah.
stance is something that would have to happen.
If council was involved, so.
The majority of us are on board with this. So
I will say though, not a good topic for wearing a costume.
Yeah, please don't.
But if you would like, try to spend an hour on that presentation that Janine and I did.
Ken, do you know where exactly that is? I was just looking through the website and I couldn't track it down just on cursory glance.
I'm gonna send everyone a link after the
Okay.
fact. Probably the easiest way to find it is on our YouTube channel, but again, we're going back a few years. so you
Okay,
need to
okay.
dig it up a little bit.
I'm also looking right now at the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's website. There is I believe, an education course in there about like this exact type of thing. They've got, no, I'm going to take that back. It's more about like learning to hunt and education for hunters. What I'm looking to find and I'm hoping exists is something about this topic for school age kids. Because I think if we can get this into the schools as well, that's going to be helpful eventually too.
Well, looks like we're unanimous and
Yeah, I think
moving forward.
Yeah.
Good.
I will say kids do not take to some of the hunting as well.
Mhm.
As someone who works at a place and the kids are enamored with the deer.
Yeah.
This is in Hampton.
Yeah, but it's like at my house, like I have
Right.
rhododendrons, native rhododendrons that I'm watching the deer on their hind legs.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no leaves on those rhododendrons from my eye level down.
Mhm.
So they're on their hind legs. And who's the first ones who can't reach the food are the young ones,
Mhm.
and the yearlings from
Right.
last year. They're the first ones to starve to death. So it's a big thing. It's not nice to starve deer,
Right.
So what is our next step?
just to back the program as we go through. Everything's pretty well in place. It's just a matter of we didn't dot the final I and didn't cross the final T.
Okay. Okay, should the EA, should we send an email saying we're supportive, or does that matter?
Please, yeah,
Okay,
please.
okay, good.
That'd be great.
Would we need to go back in front of council at some point to endorse and educate on the program and need
I don't think that wouldn't hurt if we
Mm-hmm.
had that, yeah.
just to put emphasis behind it?
Yeah,
I'll send you an email and you can look it over. I mean, it'll come from everybody. Everybody will be copied on it.
sure.
But we support the program and we support it through,
That's why.
whatever we can do, education, whatever
Sure.
we want to be a part of. Okay,
Thank you.
very good.
Say your name.
Any other questions for Ken?
And to
Joanna, rain garden.
Yes, we had a rain garden event and it went great. We had somewhere around 20-ish people total. Some came and went.
Mhm.
Ages for the events ranged from 70 something to 2. And
Great.
everybody could have a job. The 2-year-old could move rocks.
Sure.
It went great, but we could pick up the rocks. We could get the paper down because what keeps happening with the rocks, the vines of the different weeds want to grow in between the rocks and then it's harder to pull them out. So being able to pull some of the rocks out, lay something down to help protect as a weed barrier, put the rocks back on top, and then it looks so cute. Some of them made like a heart, some of them made the Boy Scout symbol. Sometimes we just threw them into a blob. But it looked a lot better by the end. With that, like since everything's kind of torn up, I did put down some different seeds of native flowers and things, and hopefully if it's planted densely enough, hopefully that will help things kind of grow back. So it's better than having densely planted invasives coming back in. And then I'm gonna keep a close eye on what's coming back in until I can get the full stewardship program up and running. So my next moves, I've already been talking to Abby about making flyers and getting them out there as far as getting stewardships for all the different gardens in the different areas. And then in addition to that, I want to have like for the stewardships, I want to have folders for whoever's doing that. And so that will involve things like what you can plant, what you can't plant, just how rain gardens work, there's a whole bunch of information. Penn State has some great resources for it. And so that way, if somebody does sign up for this, they're not just going in blind, like, I guess I'm going to do something. It's like, no, there's guidance on this and here's how we can do it. And, some things are fine, just don't put a Japanese barberry in there. Don't want that. But that's my next steps for that. And then I'm working on the trifold board. I have it at my house and it's partially completed for the event on Saturday. So that's about it. I do have some stuff left over from the event that I can bring to the litter pickup too. I have some extra water bottles and things that
Okay,
I tried to have the jug and most people had their own water bottles, but I brought some water just in case because I knew there were Girl Scouts and they don't always remember to do things. So
Mhm.
I didn't want them to get dehydrated out there.
mm-hmm,
And I happened to stop down while they were doing all of this, and it was just wonderful to watch the kids running around having fun and getting stuff done and everything. It was really quite a good event.
Mhm.
We stopped down afterwards. And there were some scouts down there taking pictures by their little,
They were so proud.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cute. Big success.
Yes.
Big success.
And I might be able to put a little bit more mulch down. I secured today, actually, somebody I know moved and had a bunch of boxes they were looking at getting rid of. I was like, yes, I will take those boxes so we can put that down as additional weed barrier. And I might be able to talk to Arch and get just a free drop of wood chips. He said he
Mhm.
could do that for me. So just
What
do
about
that.
that? It's just a giant pile right there.
That's not mulch.
Now,
It's more of a leaf compost
Yeah.
and there's a lot of trash
The
and stuff.
worst of it's left now.
Yeah,
is
it's
people take
gross
the
at
good
this
stuff
point.
and.
So
mhm.
right now, no, but I can get free wood chips from Arch. And as long as I
Okay.
say like no disease, no bugs, nothing like that,
Mhm.
no walnuts. It works the same.
Mhm.
It's the same thing, so. Any questions?
Any
on
other
that?
questions?
Great job.
Yeah, great
Yeah,
job.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Big success. Okay, Bernie, you're up next with the update on the tree program.
Yeah, I had been looking at my notes. So I'm not sure if we had a meeting, since we've gone to the tree tenders program. So 4 of us received certifications, having attended Tree Pittsburgh's tree tender program. And that was Jeff, Ken, Joanna, and myself attended the one down at the Tree Pittsburgh location.
Hey.
So I think they sent us our certification, so we're official. We would know how to, trim a tree or not trim a tree. Yeah, so, we are scheduled to do one, October 18th. In McCandless for 20 to 25 McCandless residents. And so my intention would be this upcoming Saturday, and from now on, during the speaker series on May 22nd, we'll continue then to promote and recruit members of the McCandless community who would be interested in attending the Tree Tenders program. And the other thing that Tree Pittsburgh had promised was to give me a list of everybody from McCandless who has passed already the Tree Tenders course since they've been offering it. So we can try to find, again, a larger volume of people interested in tree and tree care and tree maintenance and planting. So I think that's, part of the strategy of how do we get the ball rolling. Kind of see this year being kind of a recruitment and strategy session. We have a subcommittee meeting now for trees and the tree program, which once again, the same people attended that meeting, and Archie also attended. And that was Jeff, Ken, Joanna, myself, and Archie. And we held that the Thursday after our meeting last time. So that meeting would be upcoming on April 17th. So anybody who would like to attend, I'll send a Zoom link on that, because we're continuing to do that. Try to limit it just to an hour. I think we did 6:30 to 7:30. Did I get that right? Because it wasn't 6 too early, Joanna?
It was a little early.
Yeah, so we do 6:30 to, 7:30, limit it to an hour. I had notes from that meeting, but what I'm primarily trying to do is organize leadership, like Jeff really takes the lead on the speaker series. And, so that program with Joe from Tree Pittsburgh, we talked about, how we would support, and the activities we would do to support that evening. I will tell you, I've tried registering and I cannot, so I'm a little concerned. I can't seem to get an account on the, because you can't just sign up to attend, you have to create a profile. I really object to giving my birth date out to anybody. But to register, you have to give all that information. And despite that, I know I cannot register to even attend the event. So I just want to raise that. I'm typically pretty tech savvy. But it's not allowing, when I hit the submit button after I filled out all the fields, it's just not going anywhere. So, so John, I don't know if, has anyone?
I'll check with Abby and see if she sees anything, or I can log in and see if there's anything going on too, if you're already in there too.
Yeah, and so thank you, John and Abby, for putting together the flyer and then getting that information out in McMail on the speaker series. My question would be, do we know how many people, if any, have signed up yet at this point?
I do not know at this point.
Okay, so how would we know and track that?
We would just really log in through Civic Rec. Abby is sort of the master at that. So she would probably be the one who's keeping track of most of the attendance, but I do have a login there as well. I can log in, probably give you a number too, probably after the meeting even.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to know if anyone has signed up. And if so, what we could, plan for and accommodate. And Tree Pittsburgh really is bringing all of the materials that are needed for that evening. I have had a couple calls with them. They have pushed back on handing out trees because they feel like people will not be ready to plant them. They won't know that they're getting a tree. They're really sticklers about who gets a tree. But they do have their tree adoption events. I don't know if everybody saw that or not. There's one here in for the spring planting where they do give out trees and you can sign up to get them. And then there's usually one in the fall. So what I've been trying to work with them on is doing a tree adoption for McCandless this fall. And ideally we could do it adjacent. What we discussed was for our tree tender program, and I think Jeff, this was just a conversation you and I had. We could do, my request to McCandless was to hold it in council chambers. Because it really is just presentation style. And then after we finish, because it's usually a 6-hour program, but they'll do a walk around as part of that and do tree identification. We could do that on the township grounds. And then ideally afterward, we could do potentially some tree planting, say along Grubbs Road or somewhere else that could work. And kind of get us kicked off. Have the tree tenders that went through the course to actually plant a tree rather than just watch somebody plant a tree. So anyway, but John, what's the procedure for getting the approval for using council chambers on that day? Or is there another facility I just don't know about that we could use?
I mean, council chambers right here is probably a safe bet if it's gonna be a small number of people.
20.
And yeah, 20 would be fine here, I think. So I've not heard back from my initial inquiry, but this is several months out. We should be pretty okay with it.
Well, the thing is, I needed to confirm with them, get on their calendar. And, and that's why I was just looking for the okay to do that.
Yeah.
And there's a cost to, that gets charged for them to, do that. And I think, I don't know how to best present that. The way I did it with the tree tender program we did, I just agreed to underwrite it. And to get on their calendar, I also agreed to personally underwrite it. But we can charge people from McCandless who want to attend to offset the cost. And once again, I don't know if EAC has budget to do things like this, or if I just go try to find a sponsor and underwriter, on behalf of, our activities. I don't know how to do it. I've just been making personal guarantees so that we can get things scheduled and rolling, because I have not done anything with EAC that would require budget. And based on my understanding, nor should I ever think about spending any of McCandless funding for anything at any time and any day. Is that right?
Yeah.
So here's what's good. So basically the only real money that's budgeted for EAC officially was $1,000 for equipment related to the cleanup. And we blasted right through that because we have a lot of people signed up. There are some other places we could find money for that. Because we do have different budgets, money under like things like parks and communications where you could probably find money for this. I mean, what's the charge for this particular event?
And 1,700. I think it's 1,600 for the course and 100 for something else. So it was a total of 1,700. And I got the invoice for, the 5 seats that I put in our March, and I'm fine to pay that bill. But the 1,700, again, I can personally guarantee it, or, I could work with you, John, on,
I mean.
Yeah.
We should definitely talk
There should
about
be a
that,
way to find
with-
it.
Yep.
Yeah, we should be able to
Yeah.
fund that, but we definitely would need to ask council for that amount of
Yeah.
money for sure.
Yeah.
So,
and the other thing to do is we could charge people who want to come, it's usually typically there's a $40 fee for people to attend at Tree Pittsburgh. So it's usually not completely underwritten. But because I would like this to be the recruitment of a volunteer corps of people, and we could even frame it that way, if you come and take the course, we'd like to see you committed to, the tree challenge in 2026, and here's the things we'd like for you to do, or you can just pay and learn it on your own without any kind of volunteer offset. So we could do either of those without complicating it. So, I mean, but the gross number would be 1,700. And again, whether we get it underwritten, whether the township has budget for it, or people pay for it, any and all of those could work.
probably do a combination.
That's right. So, but I would, I just need to confirm with them the October 18th. I told them, we're 99% there. I just needed to confirm a location. And John, what were the concerns about using council chambers?
There was no concerns. I wanted to make sure that, the folks who, basically the higher ups, in here are aware that this is being asked and we think we're okay with it. So no major concerns. I mean, clearly the room is set up for stuff like that.
Right.
But I can follow up tomorrow to see just, hey, here's what's going on with this.
Okay. That'd be great. So I think, Jeff, when I think about this upcoming Saturday and having a table to talk about the tree program, those are going to be the primary, activities, the speaker series and the sign up for the tree tenders. In addition to, kind of, I had wanted to do, and I know it's probably too early, but like a property owner pledge for, I keep envisioning, property owners being willing to do a tree or two a year, getting those signed on, having pledges for, how we'll hit our 50,000 tree goal, would be, based on that kind of strategy as well. But I think it's probably too early to roll out something like that this Saturday. So this Saturday we'll focus on, getting people to sign up who are interested in trees, the tree tender training, in addition to the speaker series promoting that event.
I think that's the right plan. I do. It's a good start.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to Saturday because that's our next big activity and our way to do outreach, and and that's probably the biggest thing going. And then again, my hope would be, sending out the invitation following this meeting for the tree committee, to meet again and to start kind of growing that group as well, kind of breaking off into different activities and supporting those.
Okay, and then after this Saturday, because it's just, I can't focus on this yet, but we can talk about the event in May and exactly, what you expect from me and how, and what you'd like me to present, and we'll fine tune that.
Yeah, I'll do what I did last year, which is just kind of do an agenda, who should be doing what when.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay, good. Any other questions for Bernie?
Bernie, I just tried signing up for the website too to get an account and it's very problematic and difficult to do. And I run e-commerce for a living, so
Is
if
it-
I can't figure it out.
Is it through Tree Pittsburgh or what?
No, it's the
Civic Rec.
Civic Rec, which is the software we use as McCandless
Okay.
to I can sign up for it. So it didn't work in Firefox at all. I did it in Chrome. Somehow it worked, didn't tell me that it worked. I had to reset my password, didn't know, so it's,
Oh,
I can't imagine an average person trying to go through this process.
Mm-mm.
No, it was really aggravating. And that is my concern if people want to attend, but they've got to go through.
Yeah.
I think it's, the idea that all that data is required, including a birth date to sign up to attend a tree talk is just, doesn't seem.
Yeah,
right.
we asked less information to go pick up trash, right? I mean, it's just a simple
Mhm.
form that Abby put out there.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, we'll see if we can get Abby to maybe tweak that as it was for the trash pickup.
Yeah, I think she used a different form for the
Yeah.
trash pickup, yeah,
Yeah,
like more of a sign up genius type deal.
Yes, it was sign up genius. Yeah, it was easy.
So,
But
can you do something like that, John, and ask her to switch that over? I know we're still more than a month away. But something simpler, less wieldy, less
probably do that, yeah, I could even
invasive.
set a regular form through the website too, so.
Yeah.
Either way is fine.
this makes
Okay.
sense if you're renting a pavilion, I get it, but like, yeah.
yeah. Okay, so we'll ask her to do that.
Will she have that ready for Saturday? For signing up day of?
We could probably figure something out. I mean, there's still a couple days until then, but yeah,
She's off on Friday, so we.
she's off Friday.
Try to
We're
get-
gonna be keeping track of at least the other form, but yeah,
Okay,
I can take a look at the website tomorrow.
okay, good.
And I will just get names and emails of people who want to attend. That's my plan, is
Yeah.
not having them
That's pretty
formally.
safe too. I mean, that's pretty much fail safe, so.
Yeah,
Yep. Okay, good. We ready for roadside cleanup? Pretty much take the rest.
Are
of
we
this-
ready for roadside cleanup?
Well, let's take some of the easy things first. So we have 98 shirts. And anybody who doesn't want to wear a shirt or we run out of shirts, we have plenty of vests.
At least 100, yeah.
Yeah, so we are good from the standpoint of safety and visibility. I'm sure we have over 500 bags. We have about 100 participants. And each participant should probably take 4 bags. So it's gonna be close. So, but we'll have some extra bags. I'll probably actually buy some extra bags. We have 55 poker or 55 grabbers, which John has,
50, actually,
okay, 50,
and 2 of the actual.
We've already lost
Right.
5.
yeah. Which John has numbered and marked as McCandless property. We'll talk a little bit about those, but this is just sort of an inventory of what we have. We have probably over 200 pairs of gloves. And we have tick spray. So we have that. About 100 participants. With that is every EAC member, a decent amount of municipal staff. As far as we know, 6 out of 7 council members, maybe 7 out of 7 council members. And we have, the PA representative and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. So, so we're represented. And we have one Brownie troop, which is gonna clean Potter Park. We just don't have a lot of, I think we had more troops last year. This seems like a lot of 2s and 1s. We have so many singles, it's hard to believe. We have a family of 4
Mhm.
and we have a family of 2, but we don't have a lot of families of 4s.
No.
Or like, or troop, 376 from something, we just don't. But we have 100 people and, I guess maybe, from the standpoint, that's probably better, that's probably a better place to be. I mean, we have 100 real life garbage pickers, So, I think we are a hardy group from that standpoint. It can assign people almost anywhere. John, do you want to bring up the DPW layout on screen, which I have since changed, but it's, huh? No.
Why? How do you open the most common file on a computer?
I know, right? Why do we not?
Hey, Jeff, while this is happening, let me ask you a real quick question about the shirts and vests.
Yeah,
Size wise, do we have things that are on the larger side? And the reason I ask is because it looks like the weather is going to be kind of chilly. So I think people are going to be wearing coats and they're going to need to wear these things over those coats. How are our sizes looking?
John, I don't know how our size is looking. That makes a
It's
great.
a range from M to 2X, basically, with the idea being we make it small, but really the idea is that it's supposed to be put over someone, so
Okay.
someone's clothes that day.
And Matt, you do raise a good point. I mean, it's, it's all for naught if the weather doesn't hold out. And it is, I'm hearing channel 4 is saying it's not gonna rain, and channel 2 is saying it is gonna rain, and and people are worried about if it's gonna rain, but we just don't know at this point.
That's the
Is
challenge.
it always about?
The rain seems to be going back and forth on the predictions I've seen. Right now, they're not calling for any, so that's good.
Like
But it
40%
is the high, I think that day is 50. So at 8 o'clock in the morning, it's going to be
40.
probably
Yeah.
in the 40s at best. So
Yep. Yep.
So just for my edification, Jeff,
Yeah.
what's protocol like? If it's sprinkling, we're fine, we're gonna keep doing it. If it's raining a little bit, we're good. As long as there's no storms or heavy downpours, we're
Well,
good.
what it is that, so I talked to the police, I confirmed the 5 police details today, and I talked to the lieutenant. And he didn't raise any concerns at all about it, but the way that it goes, and John has been here before, is that the public safety call is up to the police ultimately.
Okay,
And they'll say, this is fine, it's a little sprinkle, we're gonna go, but until they say this is now unsafe, you're calling it off.
okay.
We go. We
I think we'll
go.
be all right.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be pouring.
No, I don't think so either. That's so we may lose people,
Yeah.
but I don't think it will be doing anything like that. So, everybody can see this, obviously. So they come in here,
Bernie and Matt can't see you.
you guys, okay, but you can see it though.
Yeah.
I can see it. I'm imagining what you're doing, Jeff.
Yes, it's exciting too, trust me.
He's standing to the left side of the screen.
Yeah, so like imagine, standing in front of a green screen, like the weather. So they come in here, they're gonna sign up. This is my wife Mona. She's gonna take the A's and M's. Her sister Kim is gonna take the N's and Z's because this is where we had a big bottleneck last year. I had waivers here, but waivers is gonna be moved over here. And at that point, it'll be, do you have a waiver? Yes, you do. Do you need one? Here it is.
I have a quick question on
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I know you're already receiving some waivers
Yeah.
back, so I'm marking that on our list as
Mhm.
having received them.
Yeah.
Are you'll just keep us updated on who sends us back?
Yeah,
before Saturday?
basically through probably the end of the day, Friday.
Okay,
If I
perfect.
get any overnight, we'll try to let you guys know as well, but yeah.
Otherwise, morning of, if I don't have a yes marked on their list, we'll ask them to sign another one.
Yes.
To be safe.
Yeah,
They may start bringing them in too, like they may
Yeah.
print them out and bring them in that one.
there's a good chance of that.
Yeah.
That's a good chance of that. So we have another person who said she can't pick up litter, but she would volunteer to be at a table, so we may use her.
Mhm.
Then they come across in this route assignments, Judy, Melissa, Mark, would be here with the people that are non-students coming in to Mona and Kim. And then I asked Matt to be with James to take in the students, since we're not gonna assign the students, right?
We're not pre-assigning.
We're not pre-assigned to students, but when they come in and we know that Jenny wants to be with Cindy, and and I can drive, and I can't drive. So asking those key questions about, where do you do in this drop down, in the student area? Okay, these two, and they can drive, and now they come over here and you assign them to someplace, going up Babcock.
So Matt will get that information from them and
Matt
then
is-
send one of them over for route assignment.
Exactly right. So Matt and James are going to flesh out the information about, who this person is and what value they can add and if they can drive and so forth. Any thoughts on that, Matt?
Just how are we passing that information along to the folks who are assigning the routes? Because they're going to be working with people, telling them what route they're going on. We're not going to be able to just tell them, right, directly.
I
So is there a
think,
way that we're passing that info?
Matt, after you learn whatever you're learning from them, once they form their little groups of people who want to stick together, just have one of them be sort of the lead, and then have that person come to Judy and me and say, we have X number of people, we can or cannot drive. And then
Okay,
from
gotcha.
that
So-
information- Yeah,
So we will form their groups and say, you're the person who's going to be driving. Now go over to this table, tell them that you have a group of 6 and you're the person driving and they're going to assign you. Okay, great, perfect.
that's a really good process.
Yep.
Yeah, and you guys own this corner, so I mean, I'm gonna have another table here. So down below Misk is gonna be another table, so there'll be enough room, Mark, I mean, now, since Mark and Melissa have gotten, in detail, gotten into detail of the allocation of the routes, you know a lot, you're starting to know the names, you're starting to know the route, I mean, but, yeah. So, Matt, you're as close as, to Mark, who's playing as a liaison between the two tables, basically.
Yeah.
You hand off to him and say, I have these 3 people. Mark goes, okay, Melissa, I have these 3 people. They can go here. They can all go together. They can drive.
Yep.
And then you move them up. I'm floating and I'm just talking, and saying, as best I can, trying to, get some information before they come over here. And then, they're going to get their food. Please go get your food, your coffee, blah, blah, blah. Abby's presenting her parks plan. And there'll be somebody there from the engineering firm at the parks plan. Joanna's gonna be doing her rain garden. Barty's gonna be doing her tree program. Over here, supplies will be going to, from Nick, Ken, shirts, and we have a spreadsheet for flags and grabbers because we want them all back. And, however we can tell these people to bring them back, what's the best way to say, get these things back, John, to bring them to you, I mean,
they're gonna be coming. You mean after the event? Like they should be bringing them back?
yeah, well, let's talk about this as a group. Like, when can they bring these things back?
Should be right after they're done, right?
Yeah,
If it's not them, then it's gonna be.
Yeah, you're never gonna get them.
Yeah,
Okay, so bring them back to the DPW when you're done.
yes, I think it's safe.
Okay,
The off chance someone doesn't, they should just bring it to town hall during the week, probably,
Yeah.
but.
that's what I
It
would
should be
tell
the
them.
morning of.
If they forgot.
Have that spreadsheet with the.
Yeah, I gave.
Okay.
So
The
Jeff has
messaging
all
is
the
your
supplies
journey
and
today
stuff,
starts
right?
and ends here.
Can we
Yeah,
add
okay,
on
good.
to the sticks, like, please return to,
Yeah, just like a really
DC.
basic, like, sign, say what you have.
Right.
Yeah.
but can we add it onto the thing
The
too?
route they're going to. or
'Cause
just labeled.
I don't trust people.
Okay, so I like that. Your journey begins and ends here today. Bring back your
Name.
grabbers and your flags.
It's just
Yeah.
important things.
Okay,
It might be good too if those things have a phone number on them. So that if somebody forgets and is like, oh, I brought this, I don't remember where I got this from, they could call that number to then say, what do I do with this thing?
They will have, there are phone numbers on the maps that, the routes that they'll be given out, but that is a good idea to have it physically sharpied on the grabbers.
well, John has already done all that, but it does have the official McCandless.
It's got the logo and I put on like a basic assignment number on there 3 times. And this did actually take a while. I would hate to write a phone number on it.
I know you're sweating
Yeah,
over
yeah.
As long as it has
It's a good
McCandless
idea.
label, that should be enough. That should be enough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll tell everybody there's Apple tags embedded in them and we're gonna track.
yes.
yeah, that's what I mean. And just like you used to be told the water turns blue if you.
Yeah.
Well, you could require the driver's license.
Yeah, yeah,
Driver's license as a deposit. Can I-
yeah.
Why we're not, why aren't we getting another 25 grippers, right? Why would we, if we're gonna have 100 people, and you know better the assignments. I don't know how many people are being assigned in the field to pick up trash, but again, as somebody who got the short stick of, not really having a good gripper, I actually went and bought one, a good one, because I didn't want to be in that same position again, having, nothing to pick up. You become the person who's not doing a whole lot. But I just think, can we not get 25 more?
I mean, we could talk about that, but I mean, we had 0. We went from 0 and had 100 people picking up garbage. And I'm not saying that we need to go back to, we're not gonna go back to caveman times, but.
No. The woman who I was working with last year, her company had she brought what, 25 of them, right? Grippers. I don't know that she ever got them back. And I forget what company she worked for. But no, we had grippers last year. We had the
We
stick.
did, we had, I don't, we might have had 15. I don't know, I'm not sure if it was anything more than that.
Yeah, these were always like, at some point after we had a couple, Jason Singer bought maybe like 10 or 20, and they weren't even like the grabbers, they were like the pokers.
Yes.
And, you know, we're down to 1 or 2 of those now. And then a few years after that, Jack Casey wanted to buy some of the actual grabbers, and again, we're down to like 5 of those ones. So we purchased about 45 more this year. These are $10 a piece. If we can maintain these when we hold the big cleanup again next year, we could buy, 25, 30 more to be safe as
Yeah.
well.
Build it up over time.
It was always an optional item that people seemed to like occasionally, but now it seems there's more of a demand. That's okay. But even if we order tomorrow, they may not get here in time,
That's true.
Yeah.
We're bringing our own. I brought the kids ones, 'cause they love them.
Okay.
I think they're,
Yeah,
I just bent over and pick it up.
I was gonna say, yeah, well,
Yeah.
somebody could always hold a bag, and in worst case, I know you don't wanna pick up some things with their hands, but
Plus, some of these routes do have the flaggers instead, so. they
Oh,
won't
right,
be
yeah.
carried. But
yeah, you might only have,
25-ish more would be ideal.
yeah, you might only have 50 people actually. pick
yeah,
it
if we get those back and keep adding to it, and eventually we'll have 100 of them or so. Any thoughts on this layout? It's not I changed it since then, but I mean, not dramatically.
That's great.
Looks good.
Okay, so that's what it'll look like. And then at the very end, well, let me, you can get rid of that, John. We do have, and I spoke to the police lieutenant today, we do have 5 overtime details. They'll start at 8:30 and work till 12:30. We picked out 5 routes that will be supported by police safety. And we'll let the people know and the police know. So I'll be speaking to them, where to meet and how to, stay safe. We do have flaggers assigned, so we'll see if we can sort of carry that out. And then about 5 minutes before we go out, 5 minutes to 9, that's whenever I'll take the floor, introduce, sort of welcome everybody here. I'll mention that we have all the EAC members, and I'm not gonna mention everybody by name, because I don't want to bog people down if everybody's okay with that. We have all EAC members, including our student representative. And then I'm gonna mention township staff or town council, I'm sorry, Jason Singer, I'll mention them by name. And Abby Lukostic, and then a few other special guests. And then I'll just go on to talk a little bit about the EAC and a little bit of things. And the housekeeping items, we've handed out maps to a route steward. Your route number, meeting place, and our phone numbers are on that map. Please refer to that route number when communicating to us. If you need more bags, if you need more people, need water, feel unsafe, call me. Please tie up your bags when you're done with them. We don't want the weather to undo our hard work. For some of the larger bags, it may be tough to tie, so please take electrical ties. I have a bag of electrical ties this big. Hopefully they won't be the next thing that we're picking up next year, but they could take some electrical ties. Do not pick up broken glass or needles. We're not recycling today. And signs can be tricky, so they're gonna have to use their discretion. If it looks like an old political sign, Harris, Trump, something like that, or whatever, this is out of John Schwinn's words, then it's trash. If it looks new, I'm not sure if there's a special election, but I'm seeing that some of the name vary now is starting to show up on signs.
Judge.
Yeah, okay, so he's already out there. That's a new sign. We're not pulling those out. So people are gonna have to use their discretion if they want to pull signs out and if they think it's old or new. Please make sure you have gloves, bags, sprayed with tick spray, grabbers and flags, and I'll change that up a little bit. At the end, I want them to text pictures and their bag count to me or one of the phone numbers on a map, but it's easier if it just comes to me. It really is one person, because otherwise we just lose track of it. Hopefully you wore long pants and long sleeves, tuck them in for additional coverage, perform a tick check when you go home, and then after that, we just get a group picture.
And we're supposed to be there at 8:30.
8:30, I will be there at 7:30. Other people will probably, it'd be good if we were there at 7:45, because Ken, you may be, sorting the shirts, that type of thing. You may, and there might be people that show up early, so 8 o'clock, something like that, but,
I can arrive at 7:30 to help you out with stuff.
okay,
I'm
good.
also gonna
Okay, good.
come early.
we'll be setting up tables, people will be setting up their little displays. We'll be, bags, and we'll be, just trying to get good displays going, and there'll be lots of food, and the food's coming at 7:45.
Yep.
So, we can, meet, we can talk to DPW. We're gonna need to give DPW. This gets a little bit tricky, but they're gonna need to know all the roads we're on. So maybe that's Judy's map, Melissa.
Yeah,
It's just
the
saying,
word one that she's planning to print.
yeah, that's the one. So we might need 2 copies of that to give one to DPW.
It does, so we should email her and let her know, print out
Yeah.
the copies rather than.
Yeah, could you do that, please?
Yeah.
Okay, the police already know their 5 routes, so we don't need to do anything there. They always, they're always about the same. And I'm trying to think of anything else.
Did you come up with a playlist?
No, that's not happening.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah. I forgot that the moment I said it, actually.
Okay.
I'll bring a speaker if you wanna.
I don't know if there's trash theme songs where I just put on like a garbage CD. I don't know.
Sure, spot
Um,
something,
It's not a bad thing. Yeah, I mean, if somebody else wants to do that, that's great.
just to have some.
So really quick,
Yeah,
regarding the papers that we need, the general sign-in sheets where people are going to be signing in and turning the waiver, who is going to be printing those off?
okay, so I have sign-in sheets, Rachel, and I have to remember everything you just gave me.
We at least have equipment sign out sheets.
Oh, that, we have equipment sign-up
Yeah.
sheets, that's right.
We can print other or create other.
And that's why I sent you that
Yeah,
email
that's what
today.
I want to double check.
Yeah, because I don't know. I mean, like, I
I'm
get,
happy to make that, and if
Please.
I can, if I send that to you end of day tomorrow, would you be able to print?
I'll at least be
those
able to print it up on
for
Friday.
Friday? Okay. So I can prepare the sign-in sheet, and on that sign-in sheet, we will want to mark whether they've turned in the waiver, correct?
that's correct.
And then on the table where we're assigning the routes, we need separate sheets, so we're marking what route they go to. But we also then need a separate sheet for the student table to mark which students, or just
Just
skip that and
Put
just.
another version of your
Maybe.
master sheet.
Okay, just so you have reference to the names in case they show, but also blank rows on all of these for people who are not already signed up, in case people bring a friend.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, just wanted to double check on all of
And
that.
I'll just print a couple extra copies of those, because somebody, I could jump in and help you guys that I have, yeah.
Okay, so I will send you tomorrow by end of day, the sign-in sheets, the route sign-in sheets, and then just another generic list, so it can be at the student table with the names.
Okay, so going over what you just said, Melissa, so Mona will have a sign-up sheet. And so if you're A to M, then they come over there,
Mhm.
and she has their names, and they say, okay, we're the Smith family.
Mhm.
Okay, Smith family, is this your correct email? Yes, it is. Do you have a waiver? Okay, yes, I checked the waiver. Does that make sense? I mean, what's the waiver so we have to know that they gave a waiver, right?
Yeah, and if it already went to John.
It'll be
it's
on there.
Being marked as a yes, and then morning of, we can fill in any last minute ones that you received.
Okay,
And otherwise, they need to hand in a physical copy that day.
and that goes to.
Got Or already picked up.
Okay, so they come over here and they say, yeah, we did the waiver. Oh, I see that you already gave a waiver. Very good. Go over to where you're gonna get your assignment now. Okay, that's, she doesn't even have to say you're 1C. It doesn't matter. That's not gonna mean a lick to them, right?
That sign-in table won't have routes. It will just be their names and whether or not they have their waiver done.
Okay,
So
good.
you won't even see
It'll be
routes.
name,
It's like gate
email.
one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and it's nothing that Abby wanted to say, how did you find out about us? Like, she was like information gathering. That's why I asked.
I haven't seen that list, so if she wants additional information on the
Yeah.
sign-in sheet, I'll send her an email, just double check.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, making sure that because I think she wanted to use this as a little bit of a, how did you find out about how did you sign up? So she can use it for future.
Well, do you have the sign-in sheet that she provided? Because I
Um,
haven't seen it. So if it
Is
has,
is it on the,
it's not on the SharePoint.
okay, let's try to connect those two
I'll
dots tomorrow.
just email her.
Okay, good. So Mona and Kim are just gonna say, okay, the Anderson family here, the Smith family here, there you are, you gave the waiver, and this is your correct email. And thank you very much, and go to the other table. Is that right?
Mhm.
Okay, and then what it's gonna be is I see students come in and I say, okay, students, go over to that student table, right? They're,
Should they still be signing in first and then.
They should still be signing in.
Yeah, we
They
gotta
should
clear
still-
waivers first.
Yeah, everybody should do waivers.
Okay, so the
first.
students, we have to,
If there
okay,
is
then we have to
At
do,
that table, they can then say, go over to the
Yeah.
student table instead. So
Okay.
after they sign in, they're going to be told which, either route table or student table.
okay, good. And we need extra spaces for people that didn't sign up, that they're,
You have the waiver table for any newcomers or
Yeah.
anybody who didn't have a waiver.
right.
Yes, there will be blank rows on the bottom. That's what.
Blank rows on the bottom, that's what I'm going for. And then secondly, you'll need to alphabetize the student names. Okay, good.
The student names will be in that master sign-in list. just
Yeah.
Mixed in all alphabetically.
Perfectly,
just to make it. simple.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We'll have separate lists.
Okay, so they come in, now they're advertised, okay, we've determined they have a waiver, great, we determined they don't, okay, they did the waiver. Now we check it that they gave the waiver, thank you very much, check it, now go over and students go to Matt's table. Adults go over to the other table, they wait in line, it builds up a little bit, but there's three people sort of moving it along. And then they go get their bagel and their cup of coffee. And then they go over and they get their supplies.
And at the route table, they're given a map and they're told which route they will be,
That's right,
basically where to go next.
right, and where they meet,
Yes.
and where they meet. Judy also put on there the meeting place.
She put a preferred meeting space.
That in the
So
preferred
it's
meeting,
only
they
gonna
can
be-
do what they want to do, but right, okay. Okay. All right,
Jeff, I'm sorry. The waiver thing, if they don't have a waiver, they're getting one at a different table and then coming back to the sign-in table? Is that?
no, it's the first
Okay.
table will be the waiver table.
Okay,
Do you
so they're not,
believe-
they just turn that in at that same table. They're not coming back to get it checked off on the same sheet that
They'll
we're checking
put
off the
it
other
On
ones.
the sign-in table, they'll bring it to the sign-in table.
They will bring it back to the sign-in table. So my
Yeah.
concern there is that you're gonna get a little bit of a backup for people are gonna get frustrated when they're like, well, I was just here, I signed in. Now I went and filled out my waiver, now I have to get back in line again. Like, is that gonna cause issues, do we think? Or are there not gonna be enough people that it's a problem?
It's a great question. So I think the idea is when they come in, there's gonna be somebody sit there and say, do you have a waiver, yes or no? Like, that's the first question. Do you have a waiver, yes or no? And she grabs on their legs and, doesn't leave them go.
Right.
And they say, yes, we do. We sent it in, or we have it right here. Okay, go to the head of the class. No, we don't. Okay, fill one out right here and now please go over and sign in. I
Got
don't
it, got it.
think
Okay,
it has to go over table.
that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Sounds
well, that was an idea that somebody else came up with last night, like make the waiver table the first thing.
Yeah.
So that was key.
Got it.
So you guys are all thinking the same way. Yeah, no, you're right. We have to stop any type of bottlenecks. And Judy remembers bottlenecks intimately from last year. So I think we've fought pretty hard to get through that this year.
Well, I think your shape lends it well, right? Because as people show up, you could say, start on this side and then just do the U, basically, and you're gonna get everything you need and come out the other side.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Any other questions about that? Melissa?
My only other question would be, would you be able to do one pass through of the routes and just maybe let me know which ones are super top priority in case we are realizing.
Absolutely.
People, because I know we pre-assigned some, but I
Yeah.
like knowing where we need to throw extras as our.
Why don't you just text me tomorrow,
Yeah, no.
or email me, but, because tomorrow's a nothing day for me. Well,
Perfect.
it is and it isn't, but why don't we hook up tomorrow and do
Yeah,
that?
I love this plan.
Okay, I like that. Anything else? Anything else we're not thinking of?
No, we'll all be there a little bit early, so.
Yeah.
We'll have time to chat before people start showing up.
Yeah,
And when they drop off grabbers, same spot, doors will be open and everything still, or?
yes,
Okay.
so we're gonna have, we have 110 people now. Some people dropped out, we had some people drop out, and maybe there might be some people that sign up, because you were saying, somebody was saying there might be 2 people from staff that might want to sign up, so, we're gonna be somewhere around there, but I'm guessing that Abby's not going out.
Yeah,
I'm guessing that, I know I'm not going out, so I
yeah,
can
we
be
had a
there.
few on that list.
Yeah, so Judy might not be going out. She may or may not be going out. Melissa may or may not. So if they need, if we need somebody to like be a team leader on something, those 2 might go out, but I'm not gonna go out. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there, and I think Abby's gonna be there.
Okay.
So we're gonna keep it open this year.
Okay,
And different than last year is that DPW is gonna pick up the same day.
okay.
So it's not like they're gonna close up and, you know, like.
That's
go
why I was,
home.
I didn't.
That's what
know
happened
where to come
last
back
year.
and see the doors closed. And go,
That's
what
right.
do I do?
And that happened last year.
Okay.
That happened last year.
So is there any way to just leave the grabbers with the bags?
It made things easier if DPW is able
If they're
to.
picking up that same day, or are we afraid that people will walk off of them?
I don't love it.
I think
Yeah,
people, I don't know if you're gonna get them all back.
yeah,
I don't know if we're gonna get them all back anyway, but
Well, that's true.
yeah.
Yeah, it's, for some people, it is very far to drive back to the meeting
Mhm.
location, especially if we're sending them closer to their houses, which I know some of the assignments.
Yeah.
yeah, we might get more back if they just leave them there rather than having to drive back. Possibly, I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, this is all.
Well, or I can go get them. I can go pick them up.
Yeah, if you ask people to let us know when they're done,
Yeah.
Leave it with their bag.
leave them up against a trash bag. And, if DPW is not gonna go out until a few hours later,
Right.
we could go around and just grab them.
It is a lot of routes.
Yeah, but between like 4 people, it wouldn't
Yeah,
be
it
much,
wouldn't be
right?
too bad, no.
No.
I think that is my question. How many routes are there?
There are up to 27, a few of those are backups. For if we have extra people or for certain things with children, so low 20s for actual use, which is why we need to prioritize in case we're not actually getting as many people as we think.
So it's like teams of 3 or 4, is that what you're
It
doing?
varies.
Yeah. No, Bernie, I didn't see you signed up. Are you able to stay or?
I just signed up now while we were talking. I I didn't see the link to sign up earlier, so I've just signed up while we were talking. So I'm willing.
Run
and-
road, here we go to Red Coach.
Yeah, well, and
Red Coach.
yeah, Red Coach, you're gonna do Red Coach?
Well, down to Red Coach. So Thompson Run.
Yeah, yeah, I
Some
mean, I
of
could do that same area of last year. I will say I've had a horrible cold. I've been taking antibiotics today. I feel like a human again. So if it's raining badly, I don't know that I want to risk it again, but every
Yeah.
time I travel, I get ill. So I'm, week and a half into it. So I'm sure I'll be fine by Saturday enough to talk to people.
Well, we all understand either way.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Please email me with any other random thoughts, anything at all. This is a.
Don't.
Yeah.
I will give you random thoughts, but no.
Just as a question, is any of the routes at the beginning of Brant Trail down towards because that's, the beginning of that trail is really bad.
We,
There's some trash
Are
there.
we able to quickly go to the EAC?
they are not. So are they?
I'm
Right
gonna,
off of Harmony?
I'm gonna pull that
Oh,
up.
you mean down the slope?
Down by the
Yeah.
wall park,
Yeah,
that area.
You know what, because it's gonna take police
Oh, those
coverage, they're
bushes.
real bad, and that's gonna be a targeted area.
In fact, when you come on to Brant Trail,
Yeah,
between it and the guardrails, there's a lot of junk.
yes, yeah, we don't have. We don't have the coverage to do that this time, but we do need to do it. It needs to be a separate EAC sponsored, get 20 people, get police coverage and do that.
Is that on a road or is that like going down the trail?
So,
The part I'm talking about, you'd be on the trail, so you wouldn't actually be exposed to the road.
But if you're not exposed to the road, that's something we could even reach out to the scouts about.
Yeah, we could do that.
roadside cleanup.
Yep, we could do that.
Good use of that.
Spring 2025. And then
Yeah, just
we
tell
route
you-
map.
Just go up the trail and just stay on this side of the guardrails and,
Should be the
Mhm.
view of.
Pick up
An
the-
older
the routes
scout
that
troop
are
could
on this
easily
list.
do that.
yeah.
Just so everybody can see.
But I was amazed how much, there's a lot of junk there.
Your computer doesn't like.
Yeah, there
If
is.
you want to open the other one is PDFs, it's just not the full overview of them.
Okay, hold on.
Is that Judy's map?
Yeah, but he doesn't have a.
Yeah.
for it.
Okay.
The combined, the 2025-04 and combined, that should be individual pages that will be distributed. Not all of these are in use, but the majority are.
I'll quickly run through the rest of the meeting, which will,
Yeah, so it's, Ken, if you were curious. For some of them. So, Along McKnight. Continue on down. we don't need to linger too much, but.
In your speech, when you talk about photos,
General
where you
areas.
ask people to tag.
If you want a closer look, if you go to the SharePoint,
Social
there's
media?
a map that has all of them drawn out on the.
Tag McCandless.
So I gotta say,
You're right?
they'll find
I'll
it,
go
yeah.
wherever
Okay.
I'm
If
told.
they're social media savvy, you don't have to give them a hand.
Can't see my hands.
Okay.
I think one of the upsides of having all these singles, Jeff, is that kind of amplifies your word of mouth, because it's more individuals who can,
So.
Yeah.
There's
Say that
quite a
we're
mix, some are
participating,
shorter,
so-
some are
Mhm.
longer.
you know.
Once
post on
we
social
get done
media,
hanging
tag
out the
McCandless
shirts, I can
Township.
go.
So I say, at the end, text pictures of bag counts when it's on the map. And please tag
McCandless Township.
Or adopt highways, maybe.
with your photos.
Yeah, we
Yep,
did that one.
social media.
Too, that one has to be done twice a year,
See if we get it back.
pretty good.
Mhm.
Sections,
Okay.
the cameras.
Have we posted on social media to ask people to volunteer sign up? Because I guess I missed it if we did.
Oh, yeah.
And I was
Oh, yeah.
actually, I was driving over near McCandless Crossing today, and on the big billboard, it even had a display for it. It was really exciting. I was at the light and I saw it.
Oh, so when they send the pictures, just tag.
Well, when they upload pictures to social, to their own personal social
Yeah.
media, just tag McCandless and that way.
I see.
we
If you-
just track them. And
I know you already printed off your file list, but. if
Do we,
you
is this the
upload
largest
it into
volunteer
that
event?
folder as well, just so
We
we have.
whatever,
it.
it's another day.
Oh, it's fair.
Yeah, you gotta say it. Give yourself a round of applause for being the largest volunteer event. I mean, that's
here, but rain was everyone's.
that's what?
Almost as big as Hampton.
Trash.
Just had there.
Yeah, I saw them down at on Wood Road last Saturday.
Okay, let me try to finish up the meeting. Sorry. So, speaker series, we already talked about that. We're already locked in that with Bernie. So we can get through that. Open initiatives, we continue to talk about, EAC mission and project messaging. I don't think we have anything new there. I mean, we could just table this stuff and move it. Volunteer Network Hub, there's really nothing there. I want to table municipal solar funding opportunity. I just think we just need to get through this and then start new next month. And May McMail tips, any thoughts here?
Historically, in May, we've covered topics ranging from house tips, specifically insulation, solar electricity, sustainable living, tick awareness, and tree planting. Those have been the historic May topics.
Do we want to talk about trees and sell the speaker series? Would that come up in time?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a
Mhm.
great idea.
Yeah, I would like that. Can I write something up for that?
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No, that's a perfect idea. That's awesome. I mean, I'm shocked I didn't come up with that. Killing it.
I'll give you credit. Let the minutes reflect. That was Jeff's idea.
I hate always asking when's it due, but it's due in like 2 weeks. Is that right, John?
Yeah, I think April 30th is a safe date.
Okay. I'll try and get it done this week.
That'd be great. Good. Okay, Nick.
Nothing really to add other than we're gonna get moving on deer here and look forward to seeing you guys all on Saturday to go clean up some trash. Thank you guys.
Mhm. Okay, anything else? I think for next meeting, we'll just sort of push forward some of these things and we'll have talks about those and obviously we'll have a recap of this. And we'll continue on with, I think the project updates just need to continue the way they are and make sure that we just keep moving them forward.
You're gonna send me the one pager that you did last year to read, right? You sent me like a roundup sheet of like, we collected 76 bags worth of trash. And we had
Oh.
120 people show up or, cause you did a sheet like that last year and sent it to me and I shared it at one of our meeting.
Oh, I will do that.
I
Yes, yes, yeah.
thought that
I
was
see what you're
great.
saying. So,
Yeah.
oh, yeah,
We talked about
absolutely.
doing an email back out to everybody
Yeah.
too, even.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great to
Volunteers.
Yeah,
have that again, just to
okay, got it.
close the loop and
Yep, I got it. Okay.
thank you.
I sent an
Make
email
everyone
to
aware.
everybody about,
The stream.
Yeah.
stream.
Mhm.
It's a good primer on, what you're looking at when you're assessing streams and stuff. And the only thing that's really germane to us is North Park. And it's not very good water quality going into the lake and all that, so.
Okay, so with that, then, any other thoughts?
I mean, just the thought that Ken just had about bad water quality, are you proposing to do something about that, Ken?
Anything we could do anything about really is to, Pine Creek here, but it's all private, the banks are owned by private citizens. There's really not a whole lot we can do other than at the upper end, and that's been discussed a number of times, where it's an open field up there and it was gonna be developed and so forth, but, there isn't really a whole lot other than stuff that Jason's doing with the, stormwater management and things like that's really the things that we can do.
Education and awareness, maybe.
Well, it's with NAEC, with the, riparian cover and stuff like that is making people aware of that's really about the only thing you can do.
I mean, I'd like to talk with you about that. I mean, part of my day job is working with people who do clean water. Depending on what's in it, and you're right, what the possible options could be, like when you say only a riparian.
But
buffer.
it's like one of the things that is mandated is uptraining all the storm water holding and all of that. And that's something Jason has been very active on doing, at town council level and stuff like that.
Jason being,
Singer.
Singer.
okay, yeah, and he and I have actually talked about the stormwater issues, obviously, that's his business, but I mean, to the extent, I do work with the PADEP and the Army Corps Research Lab and the Army Corps, but I mean, if there are things that you think could be done, I'd be happy to find somebody who we could work with to do it. Or are you saying Jason is working on it and solving it?
He's doing a lot of work on bringing us into compliance with the new codes, the stormwater codes and stuff like that. Where the old cinemas was, McCandless was originally going to purchase that and make that into a wetlands and stuff, but both sides of the stream are owned by private people, so it's really hard to do anything other than you can't really do much.
Well, again, it doesn't have to be discussed here. I know everybody's prepping for Saturday, but I'm interested in the topic, how the trees can mitigate with stormwater. And I'm pretty sure, McCandless residents need to brace for a stormwater tax that's coming, right? I know it came to Hampton a year ago, and it seems like the consultants who do that stormwater tax just go from municipality to municipality and apply it. And then use that funding for certain things. But I mean, I remember hearing Trish talk about that's coming. Is that right? Is that part of what Jason's working on?
I suggest you have to really speak with him on that.
Yeah, I apologize. I know I don't tune in the council at all. But I just, remember hearing that, I mean, everybody around us has gotten a stormwater tax. I don't like them, but I hear it's coming to McCandless, right? Nick, you would probably know more.
I mean, that is a talk that is amongst all of the various townships, but it has not hit us yet.
Really? So we're not gonna see it this year? I'll be happy about that. I
No.
mean,
Not this year, no.
but next year is what I'm hearing.
To be determined, but I don't think that'll happen also.
Oh, okay.
I think we're a few years out
Hmm.
from it still.
Okay, well, we're really lagging, but yeah, I mean, I know that's the latest tax that And again, I think as EAC, if that's gonna happen, we should figure out, how that funding could go into programs that we're trying to mitigate stormwater runoff with. Anyway, I'll just throw that out there. I don't want to get involved with starting any kind of punitive measures on the citizenry, so. But I think if it's gonna happen, I think EAC should weigh in. I'll just say it that way.
It's something I have in the back of my mind with Wall Park. Whenever we get to the point to doing stuff, there's things that can be done there.
Yeah, I think as rain events keep getting worse, and they are. I mean, I have a huge issue. And yeah, I mean, I know I'm not alone. It's such a huge issue, stormwater runoff and how to mitigate and manage it, especially if it keeps getting worse. So, I think that could be something this committee looks at, which are what are the best practices. And there's all kind of sustainable practices that we could also do speaker series on. And talk about that. I worked with the heavy equipment operating engineers on the development with the Westmoreland Conservation District. We did an entire curriculum on, all kind of mitigation techniques for heavy equipment operators, like bioswales, because when they get spec to do this stuff now, on any kind of construction project, people do the excavation, need to understand what a bioswale is, or a rain garden, or any of these techniques that are used and are used particularly in municipal infrastructure. So I think, educating the public as well as maybe some of the business community on what those practices are, how to deploy them on their own residential property or commercial property. I'm sure, the community requires it in a stormwater study for any new project, but I think trying to reach back to what's already built and what the problems are and how to mitigate could be useful to the people in the community. I'll just throw that out there as an educational part. But I know, let's focus on Saturday.
Mhm.
Great job, by the way. It looks like it's going to be a good one, Jeff.
Thank you. Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
I
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.